Folks, welcome to episode 248 of the Alamo Auto Podcast, where I am thrilled to announce that there is Division I college football on television this weekend. Are we single digits away from kickoff for UTSA? I think. No, not quite yet.
Not quite yet. I think we're 11 days away.
We're recording on the 20th, but a lot of people will be listening, and it's only single digit number of days away. And I'm so pumped. I feel like I started preparing for the season pretty early, but the reality of it set in pretty late. And when we were talking to our guest on this episode, I was like, oh, that's not this Saturday, but the next one. Like, I don't know. You just put it in those terms. It feels so much more sudden.
Yeah, man. It's literally next weekend. It's here. It's already here. It's crazy. Yeah.
But how are you spending your last Saturday before football season starts?
Oh, man, Jared. That's a really good question. Right now, there's nothing on the docket for me on Saturday. So
my advice is knock out as many chores as you can and get in the good graces of the wife.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly.
Pull all the weeds off our bed.
I mean, I'm excited. So game one will be my son's first appearance at a UTSA football game. First time in the Alamo Dome.
Beautiful news.
So Antonio Bermudez, named for our university, will be in the building. Very, very excited about that. And he's been to UTSA baseball games. He hasn't been to a football game yet. And that is super duper exciting. And then the following week, we have gotten the green light on a boys' trip to San Marcos. Shockingly. We were able to pull that off. So, yeah, races are good. We've got to keep them good. And no doubt about that.
Yep. Yeah, my wife and I are going camping in Garner State Park, which sounded like a great idea a couple weeks ago. And we saw the weather forecast, and it's going to be like a high of 103. So if I don't make it to Kennesaw State, I might have died from dehydration out there.
Dude, there's just all the more reason to sit and stay inside that Frio River water, baby.
Yep.
I mean,
gonna maximize it.
Just being there relaxing, and you're not even going to feel the heat. That river is going to be absolutely delicious by the time you get there.
Absolutely. Well, some big news this week. UTSA released or announced or revealed, I guess revealed is probably the right word, their first real alternate jerseys in quite a long time. Like a
very
full alternate uniform, right? Blackbird 2.0.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it seems to have been kind of divisive across the internet.
That's strange. All of the feedback that I've seen from people seems to be pretty good. People seem to be excited about it. And all my text messages and group chats were all pretty pumped up whenever they saw the unveiling.
Yes,
our first time wearing the Blackbirds would have been UNT 2015. The infamous Josiah Tauefa leap over the line of scrimmage to bring down Mason Fine. That was in the Blackbird uniforms. And we haven't had alternate jerseys, I don't think, since then, to be honest with you, Jared. So
we had those like gray ones.
Oh, yeah, the gunmetals.
I've heard the trailer hates those. Like, they will not be coming back.
Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Well, the new Blackbirds are very cool, in my opinion. They kept it simple, so they didn't, intertwine the orange with black and silver. It's all Halloween-y, which I did think we wore black and orange on Halloween weekend, so I guess that was somewhat appropriate. But this is just a clean, crisp, black and white. My favorite part about it is that we have the full body, full stride, Rowdy the Road Runner decal on the side of the helmet, which is just a logo that quite simply is not used enough. I don't even know if I have a piece of UTSA merchandise that has full stride Rowdy on it. I've always really, really liked that logo. It's always been one of my favorite logos. I'm ecstatic to see him make an appearance on this freaking helmet, man. It is awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of small stuff in the uniform that I think kind of flew under the radar a little bit. To your point, Adrian, they have just runner's word mark on the jersey itself on the chest.
Yes.
And that is so rarely used by UTSA. We always think of how can we make our merch obviously look like it's for a UTSA fan, but not, impede on any copyright. And we were surprised to see that runners is like a trademark for UTSA athletics.
Yes.
And I'm like, they never use it. That sucks. If you're going to trademark it, use it.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that. I think it looks good. It's a nice change of pace. But my favorite detail of it is, I don't know what you'd call the part of the helmet. It's like the rubber flap that's on the back of the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
It's got the skyline of San Antonio right there. Man, that is so clean.
Got the downtown
clean.
skyline, and it says San Antonio across it.
Yeah.
Again, all black and white. Yeah, really, really clean. And then the back of the jersey above the name line in the back center is the Rowdy head sitting there in the white stitching. And then there's actually a triangle of toughness up here on the top patch next to the AAC logo. So, yeah, a lot of really cool small things there. And I'm really, really ecstatic about them. And I love the runners across the chest, man. It's not something that's used enough. So we busted out 2 pieces of UTSA branding that we just don't see enough of, with the full stride, full body Rowdy and runners. And so I love it. I love it. And I think the players are pretty ecstatic about it from what I can tell. So,
yeah. So if we're going to call the 2014 orange chrome face mask for the Houston road opener a 10, and we're going to call, I don't know, I guess that gray uniform a 5, where would you rank the Blackbird 2.0 uni?
Nothing comes close to orange face mask with the numbers on one side of the helmet.
Yeah.
And of course,
truly an iconic look.
And of course, there's a lot of sentimental value because of the way that we performed that night. Kennesaw State, not a game of consequence. So, like, even if UTSA goes up and puts 60 on the board, has this great performance, like, it's not going to have the same weight carry to the actual game that was played in this uniform. However, just on aesthetic value alone, I'm going to go 8.
That sounds about right to me. I was thinking 7.5 or 8. Super small, but it's like a different shade of white for like the triangle toughness patch versus the other stuff. I had to knock a point off for that. I get it. You know,
I don't know if he was going to notice it, but I think it would have been more subtle had they just inverted and done black with the white outlining. No one probably would have noticed the color difference there, right? So, I will say in general, Jared, like I'm really not a huge fan of like the alternate jerseys in unrelated colorways for universities. That was something that got really, really popular, I guess, like 5-10 years ago. And everybody was doing it. And it seemed like every other week there was some weird, crazy alternate jersey that was happening. I was never crazy about it. When the Blackbirds came out, I was just kind of whatever about them. I like these a lot. I really, really do like these a lot.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned it so far, but it seems very heavily inspired by Friday Night Lights, right?
These are the Permian Basin, the Mojo uniforms, 1,000%, dude. It looks just like it.
I commented on the Instagram post when they revealed it, and I said it's giving Mojo, and JT Clark liked that post. And then I saw Coach Traylor's interview yesterday. He said, "Oh yeah, JT Clark's been in my office every day trying to get these Blackboard uniforms back." So maybe it's a subtle confirmation that it's truly a Mojo inspired fit.
Drew a lot of inspiration from Texas high school football, baby. Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Absolutely.
Oh, and Coach is going to be rocking the THCHA or whatever the acronym is on the sideline. He's got to.
Perfect. It's a black and white hat. Yeah, dude. Like it is perfect. It is perfect.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't know why I just stated that they were going to wear these against Kennesaw State, but they're not. I don't know why I was under that impression, but this shouldn't be the week 1 uniforms. Actually, on the schedule. So correction, on the schedule, Saturday, November 2nd at home against Memphis is called the Lights Out game.
I assume that's when they're wearing them.
So I would assume that's when they're wearing them, the blacked out jerseys on the Lights Out game. So scratch everything I just said, because if they go out and they ball out against Memphis and they get the number 1 spot in the AAC, then tremendous weight is carried with these jerseys and their value absolutely skyrockets.
But we have seen UTSA wear the wrong color for like orange out and blue out games before, even for whiteout games, right? Like I remember that we had a whiteout, and of course, if you're the home team, you have to contact the away team to agree to swap colors.
Yeah.
And the story that I heard is that they did not do that in time, and the away team couldn't agree to change colors, so they didn't have their like home jerseys ready to go. So UTSA like wore their navy when the whole crowd was in white for a whiteout game.
Oh, well, and speaking of that, week 1 is orange out, so we should expect an orange jersey combination against Kennesaw State, right? I
hope they're on top of it.
I hope they're on top of it. And there's no blue out on the schedule this year. Where's the blue out? We got to have a blue out. In my opinion, we got to have it.
I think 2 a year is good because you only got 6 home games.
Yeah, give us something to get excited about and get dressed up about, and
I don't think our fan base is to the point where we can do a different theme every home game. It's asking a lot.
Right.
We still have a pretty casual fan base, right? If we're being honest.
You do a blue out, you do an orange out, you get people excited about getting a new shirt in that color to get out to the stadium in. And I guess we're going to need to come out with some black merchandise as the UTSA bookstore, that is. Alamo Audible Fan Shop does have some black UTSA merchandise, specifically our Banditos line with the rowdy Grim Reaper, the Grim Runner, as we like to call it. And so the Skull and Crossbones Rowdy is very, very cool. Excellent thing. There's a hat option. There's a couple of shirt options that you can have there. Tops. It's November game. There's some long sleeve options for it. So, if you need some black merch to match the blacked out uniform November 2nd, check out Alamo Audible Fan Shop. We got you covered.
Good plug. Good plug. On that note, I'll take the opportunity to plug Patreon because I do want to say thank you to some new subscribers and some recent donor tier upgrades as well. So shout out to Joseph Hernandez for joining on Patreon in the booster tier, Jonathan Jimenez for joining at the insider tier. And we had 3 upgrades in the past week. Abel Garcia jumped to the booster tier, Javi Cardenas jumped to the booster tier, and Slime Time jumped to the booster tier. And everyone that I just mentioned the booster tier on will be receiving a special limited edition gift in the mail very soon. I just sent a note out. If you're a booster tier or higher on Patreon, please make sure that your shipping address is updated. Like, do it as you listen to this, because we're going to be sending those out any day now. And of course, as we get into the rest of the podcast, we're going to be previewing the wide receivers and the quarterbacks. If you like what you hear and you want to hear that level of detailed analysis for every position group, Patreons get it all. So we'll have every position group on there. I don't know if we're going to have the specialists this year. I think we're running out of time. But we have, after we finish this one, it's just the offensive line, and then we're done. And tight ends. We'll do OL and tight ends together.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well, cool. We'll keep moving along. A lot of segments of this podcast. We got to keep it moving. So next up, we're joined by a very special guest, a longtime Patreon supporter, a guy who's given so much back to his university. Jacob Cavazos, board president of the UT's Alumni Association, is going to join us to talk about everything that the Alumni Association's got going on for football season this year. A lot of tailgates, a lot of parties, great stuff. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll talk with Jacob, and then we'll come back in a little bit for the rest of the episode. All right, folks, you have heard him in our Patreon shoutouts. You have heard us on his podcast. First time to hear him on our podcast. We are joined today by Jacob Cavazos, board president for the UTSA Alumni Association, to talk a little bit about what the Alumni Association has going on for the soon to be here football season. We are a mere 2 weeks away. Next week is game week. It's crazy.
It's wild. Thank you guys for having me on. I feel like I should say like first time, long time or something like that.
It's overdue. It's definitely overdue, man.
Yeah. True dome head over here. Never miss an episode.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I texted Jacob like Saturday morning, I think it was, and he like sent back a screenshot of his phone that he was like listening to the podcast when I texted him.
Already, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I'm digging all the position previews, man. Got to get ready for the season.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, we couldn't be more excited. It's the best time of the year, to getting ready for football season, and Alumni Association in true fashion, getting ready for the tailgate season there, and got some things that are new, some things that are coming back. So thank you guys for letting me come on, just kind of spread the word about it.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's start with week one. What's the tailgate plan, the pregame plan for Kennesaw State?
Yeah, so I guess the big announcement is, and the reason I wanted to come on and share with you guys, I guess to share with your listeners that Alamo Audible and Alumni Association are partnering again together. Adrian and Jared are going to be our tailgate pregame party guests. We're going to do a college game day live episode back at the SB. So where they should be, live on stage at the SB, two UTSA GOATs, Jared and Adrian up there.
Awesome, man. Awesome. We did it 2 years ago. I guess the last time we had the season opener at home, and that would have been against U of H. And we just had the absolute best time out there at the Alumni Association doing it live. Our first live experience for
True.
the podcast, and this will be our second live experience. So we only make live appearances for the Alumni Association.
We appreciate it. No, it's going to be a blast. So that in itself is the big announcement. You guys are back doing the pregame show. It's going to be awesome. We're in the works to maybe bring in, I know we surprised you when you came on our podcast and had Frank Harris on there. We won't surprise you that with a guest then, but we're working on getting some folks for you to talk to too.
No, yeah, bring it on. We're flexible. We're good.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
But that's going to be a blast. But the second piece of that is, yes, we are moving back to the SB. The last few years, we've been in a lot next to that. But for the opening game and for homecoming, we'll be back at the SB. So, life members, annual members, non-members, there's different pricing structures for all that. I think life members $5 and you can get a +1 for same thing, food, 3 drink tickets. The cool thing with life members this time at the SB is they have given us access to the indoor part of the SB with the air conditioning.
Do I hear air conditioning? Yes,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Oh my goodness!
You're gonna have tailgaters just stumble in for a 15-minute AC blast. Yeah.
Oh man, it's
huge.
Golly, I'm gonna need a respite there for a little bit, but yeah, that's gonna be cool. So homecoming and opening game will be there at the SB. The other 4 games of the season, we've been hearing from members for a few years now of like, hey, we'd love to have you back in the lots. We'd love to see you in the lots. We kept hearing lots over and over again, and we had a couple board members, George Torres, Rico, their fraternity had an RV lots. It was right spots that were right next to the Spirit Walk and Lot B. They have donated those to us for 4 games this season. And so huge shout out to them. So we will be in Lot B right next to the Spirit Walk. We'll be set up there for the 4 non-home opener and homecoming games. And those are going to be completely free. So come on in. If you're a member of the Alumni Association, no matter what level, come on in. It's free, complimentary, food and beer while it lasts. Yingling is sponsoring those. So it'll be Yingling product at those games. I neglected to mention the home opener and homecoming is brought to you by Dos Equis. They are title sponsoring that.
Yes, sir.
Pre-game parties brought to you by Dos Equis.
What's the line budget, Jacob?
I know we lime and salt. If my wife is there, she's
you got to bring like the little packets, I guess. Yeah,
yeah. Bro, I'm gonna bring a little michelada mix and pour my Dos Equis on top of it, dude. I in particular love a michelada on a hot day, and so I think it's really going to go hand in hand, man. What an incredible announcement, man! Dos Equis. We need to get Rowdy doing the most interesting mascot in the world type of bits to get that word out there, man. And so
yeah.
For those that are kind of unfamiliar with the layout, if maybe you're traveling for the first time to the Alamo Dome to a UTSA game, the SB is Sunset Station. That's the front of the Alamo Dome. That's St. Paul Square if you're coming in off of, where downtown and the convention center and whatnot, opposite of the tailgate lot side. Tailgate lots are on the opposite side, the back side of the Alamo Dome, where the railroad track runs through, right? Off of Cherry Street, Montana Street. So that's where the SB Sunset Station is where game 1 and homecoming will be. And then you'll all be in Lot B in the tailgate lots for the other 4 home games. Very exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're pumped about that. And then, we're so fortunate this year to have 3 state of Texas road games this year. I mean, our fans aren't having to travel very far at all to support the team. So week 2, Texas State, week 3, UT in Austin, later conference game at Rice. So San Marcos, Austin, and Houston will be having road tail games. And those have been sponsored by Waterman Construction, who I know is a big supporter of Alamo Audible podcast.
Absolutely.
Shout out.
Can't thank him and the team enough, but same kind of pricing structure there on, $5 for life members, $10 for annual members. But yeah, the cool thing about the UT tailgate this year is they got an air conditioned spot for us right in the stadium. So no milk lots. Yeah. But we're excited about that. Stay up on the Alumni Association socials for kind of all the details on those. But I think as we record today, August 20th, folks should have gotten the email from the Alumni Association about home opener, game 1, all the details there. You click the link, get your tickets, and be ready to go. So we're pumped. It's going to be a great year.
Yeah, and walk-ups accepted, right?
Yes, yeah. Walk up, even non-members, walk on up, and they'll be able to take care of you there at the gates. So.
Yeah, I've recommended people that had no attachment to UTSA to go to the Alumni Association tailgate, because like a lot of people feel weird about just showing up and crashing someone's tailgate for free.
Yeah.
They want to have some kind of monetary exchange to, imbibe and enjoy the food and all that. So it's a good option for a lot of people that maybe are not the most social butterflies and can just walk up to a random tent with like 5 dudes around it and ask for a beer,
Absolutely. I know that was my first entry point. I mean, I graduated in 2006, so it was before football. And so trying to reconnect, I'm like, I don't want to just walk up to somebody's random tailgate. And so Alumni Tailgate was kind of our entry point into getting plugged back in there. And it's a great time. It's family friendly. I think kids under 12 are free at all of them. So, if you got a family, bring them on out. I think, cheerleaders, band make an appearance at them. So Sosa will be there. Adrian's friends there at Sosa. So it's gonna be a great year.
Fantastic, awesome. Man. Fantastic. Yeah, I'd say the Alumni Association is the gateway to getting to those tents in the lot, right? You get there, you shake some hands, grease some palms, and yeah, man, you'll be in. You'll be in with the in crowd, no doubt. Yeah. And there's always such a great turnout there at the Alumni Association. So it's really cool seeing people that you were there with, people from all different classes, and seeing what they're up to nowadays. It always gets a really good, fun crowd. It gets a little bit rowdy, just rowdy enough over there. And so, yeah, man, if you're listening, you go to the Alumni Association tailgate, but also support the Alumni Association. If you are an alumni, you need to join the Alumni Association. Every dollar you give to the Alumni Association is reinvestment back into your alma mater, folks.
Yeah, we're so proud. I mean, annually we distribute about 160,000 in student scholarships. So wow. every event that we do, whether that's Diploma Dash or our golf tournament, our annual gala that just happened, or these tailgates, goes to supporting student scholarships like that. So we're proud of that work, and we've incorporated some new merch this year too. So at the tailgates, you'll be able to pick up Alumni Association merch, T-shirts. The beat whoever we're playing that day, beat Kennesaw State. We'll have those T-shirts on that game. Yeah.
I got a sneak peek at the koozies. Love them.
Yes. Yeah. We'll have the koozies this year. We'll have the buttons this year. So lots of good stuff coming there.
Awesome. Well, Jacob, thanks so much for making your first appearance on the Alamo Audible. It's always an honor to have a longtime listener on. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm thrilled, guys. Thanks so much for having me. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few Saturdays. It's going to be great.
Yeah, no kidding. It's right around the corner. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, Jacob. We'll take a quick break and we'll get back to the next episode. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys. Birds up.
Birds up.
All right, folks, we're back. Thanks again to Jacob for joining us. It's great, to have a familiar face on the pod, first time on the pod, but a longtime supporter of us here at Alamo Audible and a great friend. So thank you, Jacob, for your support for us here at Alamo Audible, as well as UTSA at large. So Adrian, our position preview continued to roll. Non-Patreon subscribers. What was the first one that we did? I like these things blur together for me.
Tight ends?
No, I don't think so. Could have sworn we had another position preview that was on the regular feed and not on Patreon. I can't recall.
Pretty sure we did.
Anyways, if you're not a Patreon subscriber, you get a little dose of what it's like behind the curtains. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you get the whole roster breakdown as we do position previews for every unit. So next up on this episode, the wide receivers, and a very, very talented group, but also one that lost a lot, right? We're a long ways away from the big three of Zachary Franklin, Josh Cephas, JT Clark, right? Yeah. I don't think anyone expects JT to be back at the start of the season. I mean, if he's back by conference play, that would be huge, right? That would be a big win. But I'm not even sure of that, right? So those three guys, like none of them are going to be in the field against Kennesaw State in week 1. So it's time.
Crazy, Jared.
It's time for new faces to step up and arrive. And there's a lot of guys on this roster that have the potential to be great receivers, but it's a big ask, right? To ask anyone to produce at the level that those guys have done.
Yeah, this is tremendous, man, because, all the focus and hoopla is around who's UTSA's next quarterback. You're changing quarterback. You lose Frank Harris. How's UTSA going to look without Frank Harris? How can they possibly win without Frank Harris? But Frank Harris was not a one-man show. He was thrown to the University of Hands at San Antonio in that big three you just mentioned, which is just an unbelievably talented group of receivers, man. And yeah, dude, I mean, Frank was able to get away with some crazy toss-ups because he knew his guy was going to come down, and he had that confidence and trust in him. And 9 times out of 10, those guys always came down with it.
Yeah, and so many like third and short, fourth and short too, where they just drew up a play where it was like Zachary or Josh on an island against one defender, and they just do like little motion and turn and do an out route, easy money every time, right?
It was a guarantee.
Pitch and catch.
It was a guarantee. You knew they were going to be open. You knew one of them was going to be open, and you could get them the ball. It was just too many threats on the field for defense to handle. And so retool, reload. Just as UTSA is getting a new quarterback at the helm, we are completely reloading at the wide receiver position with transfers and what was underclassmen now being upperclassmen and making their way up the ranks and now getting that playing time. Mm-hmm. It's a totally new group of guys, though. It's a totally new group of guys that you're not familiar with their names, you're not familiar with their numbers. They're here now. And I think there's a lot to be excited about, man. There's a ton of talent. There's a ton of depth in this room. Whenever Devin McEwen was asked about the depth at the wide receiver position, he said, we got 10 guys that can start in that room.
Bold.
No, buddy, is it?
Can you agree with that? 10 guys?
10 is a lot. but I definitely think that the University of Hands should be just fine to keep their reputation up. Yeah.
I think they're going to produce pretty well. I think, Greg Luca was the first person I saw make this point, and it was a while ago. I can't remember where he wrote this, but you got to have some trust in UTSA's offensive system that they're going to continue with the production, right? I think they're going to make schematic opportunities for these guys to make big plays and to have, consistent yardage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of speed in this unit. I mean, I think that's going to be one thing that's going to stick out to the fans in game 1 against Kennesaw State, is just how much more speed there is for jet sweeps, for go routes, anything that can kind of stretch the field, vertically or horizontally. I think you're going to see a big difference, right? Because JT, Josh was pretty fast, but JT and Zachary, they were not burners, right? Like they were good route runners, physical guys, very precise in their cuts and stuff like that, but they were not burners. They were not 4.4 40-yard dash guys, and UTSA's got several of them now. So I think that's going to change the look of the offense a little bit.
Yeah. And those guys, they had the physicality to get guys off of them, hit their cuts well, and just unbelievable leaping and catching ability from those guys. And I think that's what really set them apart, was the highlight style catches that they could make subconsciously.
And great hands too. I mean, that's something that I feel like I've taken for granted for UTSA. Like the drop rate the past 3 years has been incredibly low. And sometimes I'll watch other teams play and I see the receivers drop catches that should have been first downs. And I'm like, oh, we've kind of been spoiled at UTSA for a while.
I mean, Jared, look, this is no slight to Sub-Zero, the GOAT quarterback, but Frank Harris got away with a lot of not perfect passes thanks to the hands that he had at wide receiver.
Yeah, and any quarterback at the Division I level is going to have those kind of passes, right? So I think it's really important at the college level that you have receivers that have a really nice catch radius that can go up and get balls, because you're not going to have a clean pocket all the time, and these guys are not professionals, right?
I mean, guys were able to get out in front of themselves, get their hands behind themselves, turn around if it was a little bit behind them, go up and get it if it was a little high. Yeah, I mean, there's just a very good nose for the football and great reaction time with their hands. And yeah, man, Velcro, glue, always came down with the ball. But I look at the talent here, and I look at what we brought in by way of transfer, and then I look at, it looks like there seems to be some decent, even leadership, I'd say, in this room. You have 3 single-digit guys. JT Clark at the 1, Devin McEwen getting number 3, Chris Carpenter getting number 5. And so it does seem like there's a lot of leadership in the position. And I think it's a position group that is not going to take very many steps back despite all of the change of guard that's happening.
Yeah, I think the production will be distributed a little bit more.
Yes.
Like, I don't think you're going to see, a 1,000-yard receiver for UTSA this year. But I think overall, I think the passing game is going to be pretty efficient, pretty effective. But I think, they may stall out a little bit more than they've done in past years, but I think you'll see more explosives as well. There's going to be more guys that are going to be able to outrun safeties and just clear, that zone coverage. And Andrew, before we get into the guys that we think are going to make an impact this year, can we take a moment to appreciate JT? I have his career receiving stats pulled up right here. He's played in 45 games for UTSA, started 19, 1,559 yards, 16 touchdowns. What a beast, man. I hope that we get at least 5-6 completely healthy games for JT, and he can put up those video game numbers, put some film out there for the scouts, because he deserves it, man. He's such a special player.
Absolute stud, man. A highlight reel machine. The circus catches that this guy did, I think, were better than any other circus catches that we had seen at UTSA. And the iconic moment on the drive downfield to seal the game against UNT for the top spot in Conference USA. Just unbelievable stuff. I mean, it is seared into the memory of both Roadrunners and Mean Green fans all around the world. Yeah, JT Clark, dude, the very first photo shoot model for Alamo Audible as
That's
well.
True.
One of our very first NIL deals that we had ever done as a podcast. We have so much love for JT Clark on this podcast. Shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start talking about guys that we think are going to start or maybe be in the rotation. I think first up, the guy that's probably garnered the most attention in this position unit was the breakout star from last year. Devin McEwen steps in as a true freshman, East Texas kid from Jacksonville. And, there were not a whole lot of snaps to be had last year for young guys. McEwen was just so good that he forced his way in, right?
Dude, he played in 12 games and he started 7 of them.
Yep.
It's pretty ridiculous. And this is a sophomore that's awarded a single-digit number. He was named Dave Campbell's Offensive Freshman of the Year for UTSA last year. It's pretty ridiculous. His receiving yardage total was almost enough to set or break, I should say, Cam Jones's school record for single season.
Oh, damn. No, really? I did not realize that.
Yeah, man. 42 passes for 546 yards. Receiving yardage total came just shy of Cam Jones's school record of 578 in 2011.
Damn.
Nasty. And how about the little bit of chemistry that already exists between him and the maybe potential starting quarterback, Owen McCowan, Eddie Lee Marburger. Yeah, I mean, he's got some catches from both these guys. Eddie Lee threw an absolute bomb to Devin McEwen against Army. I think it was a 70-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so the guy, he seems to be a deep route threat for us as well. Yeah, man. I'm really excited because Devin McEwen, only a sophomore, still very young, going to do a lot of good work at this position for the Roadrunners this year and years to come. Yeah,
and he seems so mature for his age too. I mean, like the little bit of media availability that we've seen from him, super sharp guy, right? You can tell he's very passionate about football, handles his business 100%, right? So I'm really excited. I mean, from what we saw of him as a true freshman, coming from a smaller high school, right? There's still a level of potential that's still untapped for Devin, right? It's very exciting to think about. I think he's going to be the focal point of the passing attack this year. I think he's going to draw a lot of attention from the defense, and I'm stoked to see what he can do. He's the total package.
It's that grit. It's that grit from East Texas, baby.
For real, man.
Jacksonville, man. Unbelievable. And he's actually not the only wide receiver that we have from Jacksonville. The other single-digit guy that we have, Chris Carpenter, is also from Jacksonville High School, Jacksonville, Texas. So that's actually a pretty cool Easter egg that both single-digit wide receivers hail from Jacksonville, Texas, Jacksonville High. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Speaking of Chris, you think he's going to be a starter this year, or
I'm
rotational guy?
Too sure. We were pretty convinced that he was going to break his way into the starting rotation last season. It didn't happen. Still saw most of his work on special teams. I would love to see Chris Carpenter work his way in there. I really, really would. I think he had a couple of starts last season, but I don't think they were in any games of consequence. So maybe he breaks in and has a few starts throughout the season. But I also feel like there's maybe more competition for those starting spots this season.
Definitely. I think especially that slot receiver position, it's going to be really tight. There's a lot of guys there that I think could start. So, yeah, we'll see. I think he's definitely going to have a role in the offense for sure. Yeah. He can get open against anyone. I mean, he's so fast. Like, we've seen him on those punt returns and kickoff returns. And, even at the wide receiver position, we've seen him just completely toast defenses. But, completing the play, getting the catch, being in the right spot is all important. He said in one of his interviews that, he still had to learn a lot of the playbook last year, which is kind of surprising, right?
Yeah.
But to hear him recognize that, I think it shows that, he's taking football maybe a little bit more seriously than he's had in the past and stepping in that leadership role. Him getting voted in as a single digit was a hugely encouraging sign, I would say.
Yeah. So I think he's got that going for him most definitely. And the guy's crafty, man. I mean, he's fast, he's quick. This is UTSA's very first kickoff return for touchdown. He has the honors of doing that. He was actually all CUSA honorable mention as a kick returner in 2022, and he was our primary return guy last year. I'm rooting for Chris Carpenter to get into the starting rotation. I would love for him to take over that slot spot and be the security blanket there. But it remains to be seen. And a lot of talent in this room. I know there's going to be a lot of competition here. And Jared, to your point, whenever you're talking about learning the playbook, was that one of the things that held him back last season from really getting in there to the degree?
Yeah, it could have been. Absolutely. I remember like one play where there was an interception thrown, and I remember like watching it, and like Carpenter was the intended target. And I was thinking, someone had the play wrong, right? Like someone ran the wrong route, or the quarterback had the wrong read or something. And it makes me wonder now hearing him say that, like, if he had made some plays where he made the wrong cut or something and led to a turnover or a busted play. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. With him being the single digit now, you got to trust that those mistakes will get cleared out. The guy that I think, if I had to put money on it, will probably start at that slot receiver position, though, Willie McCoy.
Yes.
Willie McCoy. So it's interesting because he did not have as big of a season last year as I remember in my head. Right, he only caught 18 passes for 164 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. And in the spring game, I think it's been 2 spring games now that he's been pretty solid.
Yep,
just a really quick guy. Can get, just like we were saying with Devin McEwen, he can get downfield really fast.
Yeah,
right. So excited to see how UTSA can use him this year. Hopefully, he stays healthy. But I know he's a guy that has a lot of respect for his teammates, and I just think. He's a little bit more fluid out there on the field. He seems a little more natural at the wide receiver position.
He's more physical, man. He's larger. He's got 25 pounds on Chris Carpenter. And I think that might also be something that holds Chris Carpenter back is
the blocking aspect, right?
He's pretty skinny, man. Yeah, we get that physical and get the blocking down, fighting guys off the line of scrimmage when you're trying to run your route and getting that initial pop in, those first couple yards. Yeah, dude. Look, he's a little bit thinner. Willie McCoy, beefier, is just a little more physical, and I think that's one thing that he's really got going for him.
He had that huge catch against Texas State last year, right?
Massive.
Making big plays in big time moments, right? So he's got that to his name already as well.
Yep. That was a highlight catch, absolutely.
Yep. I think the other guy that's almost a surefire bet to start at the X receiver position is JJ Sparkman.
Oh yeah, Sparkman. Yeah, you've always been a Sparkman fan.
I have, yeah. I mean, as soon as he committed and I got my first look at his film, I said, "Oh man, this is JT Clark reincarnated." I mean, even in some of the videos that we've seen from practice this fall, I'm like, "Oh, JT's practicing? Nope, it's JJ." Kind of funny, just really physical, big body player. Can high point the football. Just a physical specimen out there, and. He's already produced the Power 5 level, right? He played at Tech, right? It's not like he was
played a lot.
Right in the pine.
He played a lot at Tech.
I mean, we have seen him on film, Moss Power 5 defensive backs, right? Jesus. Like he has skins on the wall. This is not some Power 5 transfer they're taking a flyer on. like a lot of these G5 schools are doing, and they're bragging about the P5 transfers that are just a roll of dice. Like, this guy has already done it, and now he has an even bigger platform to do it, for 12 games in a season, right? With, less competition from like future NFL players and stuff like that.
It's a different speed and different physicality at that level. And, maybe he didn't catch a whole bunch of balls at Texas Tech. Whenever he did, they were impactful, but he played in 32 games across his 3 seasons there. And so Texas Tech liked him enough to have him on the field as often as they did, as much as they did. Says a lot about the talent that JJ Sparkman brings.
Yeah. I think the other guy that I definitely see playing a lot of snaps this year, David Amador. We saw quite a bit of him as a true freshman last season. Didn't play consistently, didn't play in every game, but he had the touchdown in the bowl game, and he was so close to having that touchdown and the season opener against Houston as well.
Yeah,
guy who's he's really comfortable in open space. He's very shifty. He played quarterback his senior year of high school, right? So he knows how to read a defense. Waiting for that trick play. The North Shore special.
I didn't realize he played in all 13 games last year.
Oh, did he really? Oh, yeah, I didn't think so.
That's impressive, dude. But this is an all-state boy at North Shore, man. So, look, it makes sense. The talent's there. He is nursing a little hamstring tweak here through the fall camp. So I wouldn't expect him maybe at all in September. I think it's going to be really important. You have so much depth in that wide receiver room. It's not necessary to rush out a 90% David Amador, and it's still just a little bit too young to forcing him out there either. Let him get to 100%. Let him be as good as he can be whenever he gets out onto the field.
Yeah, he's going to have a big role whenever he's ready. Those hamstrings can really nag at you, right? And there's nothing you can do but rest it, right? So let's hope UTSA is really considerate with that and, does not rush him back and re-aggravate it or make it be something that lasts the whole season long, because they're definitely going to need his big playability this season.
One of the very few Hispanic wide receivers in the college football level representing for La Raza family in Nuevo Leon, Monterrey, David Amador. Yes, we love it, man. We love it. So just awesome to have him here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to him. Maybe once he gets fully nursed up, October, November, could be a potential breakout wide receiver, Jared. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched to say that he could put up 500-yard season this year.
No, I don't think so.
I'm not saying that's the expectation by any means. I think like something like 350 is probably more realistic. Especially with the hamstring injury he's dealing with, but he has that potential for sure.
Well, once he gets going, man, he's really going to be going.
Yeah.
Jared, what about DJ Allen, transfer from TCU? You don't see him cracking into starting position here this season? Because I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, no, I'm high on him too. I loved his high school film. I picked him, I think, to be a starter and a breakout guy in the offense on one of the season preview episodes that I did as a guest appearance, right?
This dude was a 4-star coming out of high school. He was ranked number 28 in the nation as a senior wide receiver. The dude redshirted his freshman year at TCU, but he played in 3 games. And we just didn't get to see too much of him at TCU. But I think the talent level that DJ Allen brings could just – oh, man, it could really be something special here.
Yep. We did see in the first scrimmage highlights, he did go up and he mossed. It might have been Denver Harris in the end zone. I can't remember. It was one of the starting corners.
Man.
He went way up in the air and grabbed that touchdown catch.
Well, he's extremely athletic, dude. He lettered in basketball, baseball, and track and field. Whatever he was at Gladewater High School, dude.
Yeah, man.
Another East Texas boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, the long jump was one of his primary events in the track and field. So, dude, he has the freakish athleticism, and yeah, to already be on display to do it against a Denver Harris. You know, we just talked about JJ Sparkman doing it against that top level defensive back talent, the Power 5 level. I think DJ Allen's another guy that can do that.
I am trying to remind myself that he's still young, because when Chris Carpenter first came over to UTSA from Colorado, like, we saw his speed, we saw that he was a Power 5 level recruit, and we had pretty high expectations for him out the gate, right? And he's still been a good player for UTSA. He's still done big things here. He's caught some touchdowns. He's returned some touchdowns and all of that.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's lived up to the hype that I and probably you, right, set for him, right?
I was talking him up a lot last offseason.
Yeah,
I was really talking him up a lot. Yeah.
So that's why I'm like trying to tone it back a little bit with DJ Allen, because I have to remind myself that he's only a sophomore.
Got to develop.
Right.
They've got to develop. You got to see those snaps. You have to get those game reps in. Got to get bigger. Got to get stronger.
Yeah, but as far as, just athleticism goes, he's one of the top U26 ever recruited at wide receiver. There's no doubt about that.
So that's what, 6 guys that we think could be starting wide receivers here potentially. No, we're not even talking about contributors in 2 deep yet, which some of these guys that we've already mentioned will end up as contributors in 2 deep guys.
I feel like all the guys we've covered are the ones that I feel comfortable saying are a starter.
Yeah, well, they have the talent to be starters.
Quote. Yeah. The other guys, like, yeah, sure, they would start if there was no one else, but not going to press for a starting job, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, some of those guys that I think are close but not quite there yet. Jamel Hardy, super talented guy. Again, loved his high school film. Just a retro freshman, though. I think he played in the bowl game a little bit. I don't know if he got a catch or not. Jared Randall is a former walk-on San Antonio guy, super physical. But, I don't know if he's going to really bust into the rotation like that. I want to say he got out there against Tulane. I'm pretty sure. I think there were, I think Cephas went down and Randall came out. So we might see him on the field a little bit this year. And then Jace Wilson's a guy that's been developing as well. I've been hearing his name a little bit more.
Yeah. How about
Mekhi Anderson, Florida kid. All I really know about him is he's like a 99 speed in the EA college football game.
Yo, that's crazy. Crazy for a freshman to come in with that. That's kind of wild.
They must have got some track numbers for him or something.
I guess so, dude. I mean, his very first word in his bio is speedy offensive weapon. But yeah, he was a all-state runner there, track and field. 100 meter, 200 meter in the relay. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right, Adrian, who's your breakout candidate for this year?
Man, I think if Amador gets fully healthy, I've got to say David Amador could be that guy.
I like it.
And I hear him talking about himself, and he really prides himself on being versatile as hell.
He's like that Swiss Army knife kind of receiver.
Yeah, man. He's like, I can go deep. I can come out the backfield. I could cut across on him, whatever you need me to do, I can do that. And so he takes some pride in there. And I like that as a potential breakout candidate because he's going to be a guy that's going to be all over the field. So yeah, I'd say David Amador or DJ Allen.
DJ Allen's super tempting for me. Willie McCoy seems like a safer bet though. Because we've already seen him out there playing for the Roadrunners. He knows the playbook already, a little bit older. So he's the safer bet. But I think Allen would be like the newcomer breakout for sure.
Yeah, definitely so.
And for leading receiver, I think we're both probably going to pick Devin McEwen. Or are you brave enough to pick like a JJ Sparkman or something?
It's a big task for Devin McEwen to come in here and be the leading receiver just in his second year at the college level with UTSA. That's a tremendous order, but if anyone can do it, I think it's going to be him.
Mm-hmm. He's way ahead of schedule, though. I don't think it'd pace him.
Yeah, way ahead of schedule. That's true.
Well, cool. I mean, is there anything about this position group that really concerns you for this season? Just the lack of experience, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, right? There's question marks. We don't know what we have until we actually see what we have.
Yeah.
It's great to sit here and talk up the stat sheet and talk up the potential talent and talk up, what they may have done in high school or at the program that they transferred from or their size and stature. But we really don't know how good those hands are until they get in those one-on-one situations. So they get on those jump ball situations. So they have a bad pass that's thrown in their vicinity, but not directly in between their numbers. And they've got to go out there and get it. And with a new quarterback at the helm, how much easier is this group or how much harder is this group going to make that new quarterback's job?
For sure. Something I wonder, like how much did like the previous group of receivers do like hot routes and stuff, where like they just had certain reads where, you know, if the quarterback shades on this side, you change your route and you do an out route instead or something like that. Like, I wonder if the playbook is going to be that wide open with this like pretty young, inexperienced group of receivers.
There is, you know, now with the headpiece and the telecommunication coming to the quarterback from the sideline,
Yeah.
you hear them talking about we're going to be looking at the quarterback for more signals than we have in the past. We used to just look at the sideline for those hand signals. But now, you know, if that can be spotted and there can be some sort of back and forth between a wide out and a quarterback, and they can maybe figure out something right there at the line of scrimmage, I think it's something we could see. Jared, is it safe to say that regardless of who the quarterback is going to end up being, does UTSA's offense live or die by the wide receiver position? We know the running back room's stacked.
Yeah. Everyone feels good about the offensive line.
Yes. Everyone feels good about running backs.
Tight end is pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Adrian. I think probably more question marks at receiver than anywhere.
I think they're going to determine how far these Roadrunners go. If you ask me.
It's not a bad take. It's like, obviously they're going to go, you know, I don't care what Jeff says, Owen's the starter. They're really going to go as far as Owen will take them, but he can't take them there without receivers that can catch open passes.
I've been trying to be so careful with my quarterback vocabulary because we're literally about to get into the quarterback preview, but tell them how it is, Jared. Yeah.
Good segue, I guess. Good segue.
We're getting into the quarterbacks, man. We're getting into the quarterbacks. And yes, we talked about several wide receivers having single-digit numbers. And yes, Owen McCowan and Eddie Lee Marburger both have single-digit numbers, but only one of them received the coveted area code 210 triangle of toughness. And that's Owen McCowan.
Yeah. You know, I don't know who they're trying to kid. Kennesaw State knows who the starter is. He started the bowl game, man. Like, you watch the film from the last game and you see who the starter is. Like,
Kennesaw State knows. GJ Kinney knows. Everybody knows, man. It's Owen McCowan, the son of a professional quarterback, a transfer from Colorado, a southpaw, just like Frank Harris was. Yeah, dude, it's Owen McCowan. You better believe it.
Yeah, definitely. I know Adrian and I have been pretty high on the McCown train for a while. Even before he signed with Colorado, I was like, man, UTSA is going to get McCown's kid. They got the relationship with Traylor. He's going to be the heir apparent to Frank Harris. And it did end up turning out that way, but he ended up giving it to Colorado. And I was like, man, Colorado is in the dump. Why would he go there? He just wanted to get those 4 starts at Colorado so he could get some starting practice and then come over to UTSA once that coach got fired, right? So he was just in the Farm League in the Pac-12.
That's all.
That's all it is. This is a grand master plan from Jeff Traylor and friends and family.
Yeah. Owen and Frank Harris had the handshake deal done a long time ago, bud. And look, dude, southpaw, left-handed quarterback. He played in 4 games. He started 3 of those, 57 for 100. On his pass attempts, 600 yards on those 57 completions with 2 touchdowns. The guy was a top 50 quarterback in the nation coming out of high school in East Texas, another East Texas boy. We love that as well. And look, dude, the elusive bowl victory that escaped this program for 11 seasons, 12 seasons. Owen McCowan got it. He got that bowl trophy. It wasn't Frank Harris. It wasn't Eddie Lee Marburger. It wasn't Dalton Sturm. It wasn't Eric Stone. It was Owen McCowan, UTSA's bowl-winning quarterback, baby. Yeah, you better.
Adrian, did I hear you correctly that Owen McCowan has already accomplished things that Frank Harris never did?
These are just the facts. I've been waiting years for that noise on this podcast. God, I could cry right now. Oh,
I'm so glad we're on video.
That's incredible, Jared. Bravo. Oh, my gosh.
Thank you.
Got the soundboard firing right now. Oh, my goodness, dude. And
shout out to UTSA's SID staff. Kyle and team. I'm sure Kyle doesn't get all of these stats himself by hand. Maybe he does. I don't know. Don't underestimate the man. But Owen had a 74% completion percentage last season.
Ridiculous.
And he said the program's single game completion percentage record against number 20 Tennessee, connecting on 18 of 20 passes for 170 yards and a pair of scores.
Was that 90% completion?
Yeah.
18 for 20?
Crazy. And like we've said previously in the podcast, like you can't read too much into that Tennessee performance because the game was over already. Like it was the start of the third quarter, but I mean, it was like 35-0 or something like that.
Yeah, but Jared, there's something to say about the grit, about the stones, the gonads at Owen McCown. You go out there and you're down 5-6 scores to Tennessee. And yeah, I could just go out there and get my snaps and whatever. I'm not going to start the rest of the season, so I don't really care. No, he went out there and was a gunner and slung that thing like it was nobody's business. It was his time to shine, and he owned it. He talks about it in his interviews, his mentality. I don't care if I throw 3 interceptions or 3 touchdowns. I'm the same dude. The very next play, we're going to go out there. We're going to get it done. We're focused on what's happening. And I love the tenacity of this kid, because whenever he was talking about it in that interview, in that press conference, I completely agreed with him based off of the sample size that I had seen from that Tennessee game and from that bowl game. The dude is ferocious. He ticks differently. My favorite thing about Owen. He's a dog.
My favorite thing. Yeah, my favorite thing from the Tennessee performance wasn't necessarily like coming out and playing in that SEC environment and moving the ball and all that, but it was like the technique that he showed while he did it, right? Like his ability to like read the defense and to get the ball out quickly. He was just on a different internal clock, right? Than Eddie Lee was, right? That it just came like so quick to him, right? I saw this guy's open, throw it, right? Just boom, 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 boom. And like to me, that just shows like the game doesn't move fast in his head, right?
Correct.
That he can make the reads, and that's so critical, right? Especially in a system like UTC has. Like they're not asking their quarterbacks to make super difficult throws all the time, right? They're not throwing all the way across the field, 40 yards, downfield to hit a corner route, from the outside hash or anything like that, right? But what they do ask the quarterback to is to run the RPO, right? And to very, very quickly in a split second determine if you throw the bubble screen to the slot receiver or if you hand the ball off to the running back, right? So for me, that was the moment where I knew pretty much for sure that Owen was going to be the guy, right? When he showed the ability to quickly execute that offense and to not sit back there in the pocket and second guess himself, but to feel confident in not only how he was going to throw the football, but where he's going to throw the football and when he was going to throw the football, right? It's super, super critical. So for me, that was like the big realization, right? Like, he has it upstairs to execute this offense. And, it was really interesting hearing in his media day interview, he said, I'm focused on learning the finer points of the playbook, things like, the different pass protections, the different hot routes and all of that. And I was like, oh, baby, here we go. That is not the thing that you typically hear from a first-time starter quarterback, because he's not a first-time starter quarterback, right? He started 4 games in Colorado. He started in a bowl game against a really good defense against Marshall last year. So, it's not his first rodeo. I know like they're treating it like, oh, it's going to be this new starter coming in and we're not going to announce who the starter is and all of that. But he is the incumbent, right? He's been there before. So I don't think he's going to be faced at all by his first, start, because it's not.
Very much true. Very much true, Jared. Yeah, the reason why he's so quick and he's so decisive with his decision making is because the game moves a bit slower for him. And look, his legs aren't Frank Harris's legs or even Dalton Sturm's legs, but Owen McCown does seem to have some wheels on him. He does seem to be very comfortable throwing the ball on the move or taking off on his feet whenever he sees the availability there, and he knows
he can improvise
change with it. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, yeah, man, I love his game. I think he's going to blossom into an incredible quarterback here. And we're going to have the.
My only concern really with Owen this year is avoiding the turnovers. Like we saw it in the bowl game. He had a couple throws that got picked off, and then a couple others that didn't get picked off but could have, right? So I think, with Frank Harris, like he would do the same thing, and sometimes he would compound it, right?
Yeah.
But you always had the faith that he was going to fight his way back and overcome that. And there's probably another reason why UTSA plays a lot of one possession games, right? Is because Frank had that tendency sometimes where he would kind of compound mistakes, right?
For sure.
So while Owen is super accurate statistically, he does make those mistakes as well, right? So that's the big question mark for me. How many of those is he going to make? Is he going to flush them pretty quickly? And then will he respond the same way that he did in the bowl game, where he was able to put it past him and go out and overcome the deficit?
When we saw him shake it off.
If that's a consistent problem and he throws 2 picks a game every game, it's be tough sledding for you to say.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, we did see him shake it off in the bowl game. He had the ability to do so, but not something he can have become a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that said, Jared, Eddie Lee Marburger, an incredibly capable backup number 2 quarterback. If something does happen to Owen by way of injury or by way of just not getting the job done performance-wise, getting into that interception rhythm, Eddie Lee Marburger come in and he can win ball games for this program, no doubt in my mind.
Yep, he's got 2 starts under his belt as well. And, he lost that Army game that he started, but I thought he played pretty well in that one, right? Yeah. He had some really, really great throws. The touchdown toss to Devin that we mentioned earlier. He also threw a beautiful one to Tyke Kellogg too, right there at halftime, that Hail Mary throw, right?
Yes.
I think the one thing that Eddie certainly has over Owen is arm strength, right? I think there are certain throws that Eddie can make that I'm not sure Owen can make. Like I think he's got more of a cannon than Owen.
He's larger. He's stronger. He's got a little bit more muscle on him. 100%. Yeah, he can really air that thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. It was by no fault of Eddie Lee Marburger's that UTSA lost that game against Army. I think that you got to point more to the defense.
Yeah, they could not stop him on 4th down.
Up 37 points to Army. Yeah,
right. You're never going to win
at home.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think if Eddie Lee is QB2 this season, I think he'll be one of the best backup quarterbacks that UTSA ever had. Right. I think Josh Atkins got a spot at number 1. I mean, Tucker Carter's pretty good when he was backing up Eric Sosa.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eddie
Lee Marburger would be the most capable backup that we've ever had. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I think the key for him is, like I was saying with Owen, just being able to react more quickly, right? There's a lot of plays where he took sacks or, it just took too long to get the ball out, right? You're past 3 or 4 seconds, like you got to get rid of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's really key for him, and hopefully he's developed that over the offseason. He's been here for so long; he definitely knows the offense and all that. Obviously, commands the respect of his teammates to get voted into a single digit. So I'm, he's definitely going to play this year. I'm excited to see him. I'm rooting for him. He's a great kid.
We should see him week 1. I want you to go out there and take care of Kennesaw pretty quickly, and then we should see Eddie Lee Marburger play that second half.
If it goes according to plan, for sure.
Jared, who is going to be 3rd on the quarterback list? We've got a bit of young talent here in the room, and then we've got a little bit of veteran talent as well.
I guess if I had to put some money on it, I'd probably say Demetrius Davis is probably going to be your 3rd string quarterback.
I would agree.
Just because he's got the experience, right? A lot of things in his game that leave me hesitant to see him as a guy that would be, even pushing for a backup spot. Accuracy problems, namely.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that, with his athleticism, you can kind of design some packages for him if you want to, right? Like if you want to do like kind of a wildcat sort of look, you can have him out there and still feel comfortable with him throwing the football, right?
Yeah.
But, given his experience playing in the SEC and all that, a lot of starts under his belt, I feel like he's up 3rd.
Yeah, he started his career at Auburn before he went to Alabama State.
Yep.
The dude was very, very talented and highly touted as a dual threat. Could you see some special packages drawn up for Demetrius Davis? Do you see?
I'm not going to expect it, but you certainly could.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's something that's really in Traylor's wheelhouse. But if we were a team that were to have a wildcat draw up inside the 5-yard line, Demetrius Davis would be that guy.
Sure. Yeah, I think the offense would have to struggle pretty heavily for it to get to that point, but it's nice to have that in your back pocket if you need it.
Sure.
I think other guys that would be in the competition for that are probably just a little bit too young. Jackson Gilkey, right? Huge arm. Huge dude. Massive dude.
6'2",
still learning the college game.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. And then you have Gilmer High School, Brandon Tennyson. These guys are both redshirt freshmen.
Yeah, Tennyson's coming off a knee surgery.
Yep.
Maybe 2. I don't know. But yeah, I can't imagine he's going to be ready to go. I don't know like what his status is, whatever. But Tennyson very similar to Demetrius Davis. I feel like shorter guy, very athletic, moves around pretty well. Not super refined as a passer.
Mm-hmm.
But both of those guys can be an excellent scout team imitation for Kennesaw State.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Exciting stuff, man. But yeah, you're
two positions on offense that are going to make or break, I think, how this whole season goes, to be honest with you.
Without a doubt, man. It comes down. This is what UTSA's offense has built themselves off. Built their big time reputation as a high output, scary, down to the wire offense that is not going to lose to you in the fourth quarter in the last 5 minutes. It's been the passing game. It's been Frank Harris throwing the ball deep to JT Clark and Joshua Cephas. And once upon a time, Zachary Franklin, Oscar Cardenas. And so now here we are. That baton is getting passed down. I think the Roadrunners' identity at offense stays the same as a high-flying, pass-heavy offense to get that big scoring output that we like to see from Jeff Traylor. Are these guys going to be able to hold up their end of the bargain? I think so. But will it be right away? How soon? How long will it take for this unit to get cohesive, get comfortable with one another, and start making it happen inside the game?
Yeah, 100%. And I really like the coaching. I think Coach Price is amazing. Right? Yes. I think one of these young guys is going to be ahead of schedule. Right? I'm excited to see which one it is.
Oh man.
Well, it feels nice to ask these questions and know that at least some form of an answer is not very far away. But Adrian, before we get out of here, you want to throw us some Board of Trustees Patreon shoutouts?
Yes, sir. Big shout out to Digiteek, John Otwell, Gary and Ruben representing the UTSA Bird Gang Tailgate, Ray Redding and Meet Meep Apparel, Brandon Grell and the Grell Realty Group, Andy Elizalde and Proficient Benefit Solutions, Ian McLendon and Seeker LLC, Ryan Squires, Waterman Construction, Javon Townsend, Vice President of the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of the UTSA Alumni Association, UTSA Annual Giving, Artisan Vapor and CBD, and Wayne Gonzalez and Runners Rising Project.
And of course, thank you to all of our big money donors, including Ben Tovar, the Bunch family, Zach Esperdequeta and the San Antonio Podcast Network, Alejandro Benavides, our boy Dan Nerdall, host of Around the Birdbath, who has a new episode in the work for you guys.
Yes.
He had Michael Rocket on Around the Birdbath, which is awesome. That's like the biggest name that he hadn't had on yet for Where Are They Now?
Famer, UTSA Hall of Famer.
That's right. He will be, I think Homecoming Week is when they're going to bring him out to the Alamo Dome. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And thank you to Jacob, who we had on this episode. Thanks again. Shout out to John Nally, Rick Cortez of Rowdy Road Grillers, Sumner McDaniel, UTSA King Bowser, and Home Field Apparel, where you can stock up for tailgate season with some new gear. And if you use coupon code UTSA1 Home Field, you get 50% off your first order and kick us a little bit of commission as well. So thank you guys all for your support. Thank you for checking us out. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms, Alamo Audible. If you're watching on YouTube, you made it this far. First of all, you're awesome. Second of all, even if you didn't watch it on YouTube, just go give us a thumbs up on there. Subscribe to us. Help us out. We reach a lot of people on YouTube that we're not hitting with the podcast. So your support there and getting us in the algorithm's good graces goes a long way and gets more dome heads into the community. So thank you guys all so much.